Here we presents the top 5 best cameras for vlogging. Starting at number 5, Sony Alpha A6500. The A6500 is an oddity. It's a street-style camera with sports camera performance and high-end 4K video capabilities, and it just feels the wrong shape for the things it's designed to do well. Worse still, it's been overtaken by recent rivals, and it's starting to look expensive. Sony now offers 3 A6000 series cameras, namely the A6000, A6300 and A6500. The A6000 continues at a very competitive budget price point, even though it's actually quite advanced by today's standards. It doesn't shoot 4K video though, and it doesn't have Sony's newer 425-point autofocus system, two features that Sony did include in the subsequent A6300. The most recent A6500, meanwhile, boasts 5-axis in-camera steady shot image stabilization, and a big increase in buffer capacity on top of the above, with the same maximum 11 FPS continuous shooting speed as the earlier models, but the ability to persevere for 307 JPEG files or 107 RAW. This sounds impressive on paper, but how does the camera perform as a whole? The A6500's magnesium alloy, rangefinder-style body is compact and robust, with seals around the buttons for dust and weather resistance, and a double-layered design for tightly interlocking panels. Video recording also benefits from the A6500's touch focus feature and 5-axis in-body stabilization, and it can shoot in S-Gamma and S-Log modes. The SLOG3 and SLOG2 gamma curves offer a wide dynamic range up to a claimed 1300%, while the S-Gamut mode has a particularly wide color gamut. It's the video equivalent of RAW files and stills photography, so it means you'll have to carry out post-shoot color grading on a computer to arrive at a realistic-looking result. The A6500 does have a Gamma Display Assist option for viewing footage, while using the S-Log modes, however, to make it easier to check focus and exposure. For more information and price, check out the product links in description. At number 4. Canon EOS Rebel T6i SLR. The T6i's photo quality and video quality are fine in good light, not best in class, but unless you compare side by side you probably won't notice that they're less sharp, or that there's less detail in highlights and shadows. Noise isn't the T6i's worst enemy, tonal range is. Noise always increases with ISO sensitivity, and in the T6i's JPEGs the noise reduction jumps between ISO 800 and ISO 1600, where you start to see color noise and smoothing. Depending upon lighting, the scene and how large you plan to display them, you can probably use the images all the way through the ISO 25600 expanded setting. But the bigger problem is that you start completely losing detail in blacks as exposure decreases. The default auto picture style increases contrast a lot, so in low-light JPEGs the shadows clip to black, but even in the RAW files there's not a lot of detail captured there compared with similar cameras like the Nikon D5500. A lot of consumer cameras display non-neutral automatic white balance, and the T6i is no exception. It has a somewhat purple bias, so there's some hue shift in reds-oranges. However, one benefit of this is that low-light shots don't have a severe yellow cast as you'll see elsewhere. Video has the same issues, namely color cast and a fairly limited tonal range, but otherwise it looks pretty good, certainly good enough for family vacation videos. There's some jello, if you're shaking at all, but otherwise no notable artifacts. Canon offers some really cheap, fast lenses optimized for the sensor-based autofocus in the camera, like the 50mm f1. 8STM and 24mm f2. 8STM, which I shot with in addition to the 18 to 55mm kit lens, but let's just say you get what you pay for, and the 50mm is much better than the 24mm. You'll get your nicely out of focus backgrounds, but they both suffer from serious fringing, and neither is particularly sharp. Halfway of my listed number 3, Canon PowerShot S120. The Canon PowerShot S120 represents the yearly update to the company's high-end S series, taking the place of the S110. The camera offers several improvements over the previous iteration, including faster performance in 1080p 60 video capture. The aesthetics are unchanged, and it still uses a 12-megapixel, 1.17-inch CMOS image sensor, but the quicker shooting is noteworthy. Its image quality still can't match the editor's choice Sony CyberShot DSC-RX102, which packs a larger sensor into a similar body, and adds a tilting rear LCD and support for an add-on EVF, but the Canon is a more affordable model. The S120 is truly pocketable, measuring just 2.3 by 3, 9 by 1 inches and weighing in at 7 ounces. It's only available in black, a departure from previous models with silver versions as options. The Sony CyberShot DSLR X100, another editor's choice winner with a 1-inch sensor, is very similar in size and design. It measures 2.4 by 4 by 1.4 inches and weighs 8.5 ounces. Like the original RX100, the S120 lacks a hot shoe, uses a fixed rear display, and features a control ring around its lens to adjust settings during shooting. The lens features a 5x zoom ratio, which sounds low compared to super zoom models with smaller image sensors, but is fairly standard for cameras in this class. It's a 24 to 120 mm f1.857 design that offers a fairly wide angle and a medium telephoto range. The Nikon Coolpix P330 covers a similar range, and like the S120, its maximum f1.8 aperture narrows as you zoom. You'll want to stick to wider angles when shooting in dim light. To get a compact camera with a wide aperture lens throughout its zoom range, you'll need to look at a slightly larger model like the Olympus XC2, which packs a 28 to 112 mm f1.825 zoom. Coming in at number 2. Apple iPhone X256. The iPhone X was a huge gamble from Apple, yet one that really paid off 6 months into our testing. Losing the home button and altering the design was a dangerous move, but one that was sorely needed after years of similarity in the premium design, extra power, all-screen front mixed together to create, by far, the best iPhone Apple's ever made. It's impossible to give a perfect score to something that costs this much, but this is the closest to smartphone perfection Apple has ever got. The iPhone X is the huge leap forward that Apple's handsets needed after 10 years, and it's even better in 2020 thanks to its iOS 14 update. Aside from the original iPhone in 2007, this iPhone had the biggest impact on Apple's smartphone direction ever, and even its newest successors haven't changed much of its design innovations. Apple itself is calling it the future of the smartphone, the embodiment of what it's been trying to achieve for a decade. But while the iPhone X is all about premium parts and an all-new experience, it's a huge gamble for the Cupertino brand too, as it tries to reclaim some leadership in smartphone innovation. Losing known, reliable elements like the Touch ID fingerprint scanner, the home button, introducing new methods of navigating and unlocking the phone, and charging a lot more for the privilege, seems risky for a company that was already treading new ground by doing away with the traditional headphone jack. For more information and price, check out the product links in description. And number 1. Huawei P20 EML29 Lira. If you're lusting after the Huawei P20 Pro's 3 rear cameras and mesmerizing twilight color, but can't justify the high price, then the regular Huawei P20 is the phone to get. Cheaper by hundreds, the P20's dual rear camera has the P20 Pro's same killer low-light camera mode that makes your photos of dimly lit cocktails pop, and an iridescent color option that absolutely leaps out of the crowd. Even if you're not comparing it to the P20 Pro, the P20 here delivers good performance for a mid-dish price phone that fits well in the hand. But compare it to other phones in its class and the situation gets murkier. The Huawei P20 is suspended in limbo waiting for competitors like the OnePlus 6 to launch May 16 and the Nokia 8 Sirocco to sell on April 30th. However, it's too early to say how the Huawei P20 fares for its price category. I'd wait until the OnePlus 6 and Nokia 8 Sirocco reviews are in to see how the phone's main rivals pan out. Note, the Huawei P20 and P20 Pro won't sell in the US due to government pressure that caused AT&T and Verizon and Best Buy to back away from selling Huawei phones. The Huawei P20 is cheaper and a little simpler than the P20 Pro in every way. It has a 5.8-inch LCD screen rather than a 6.1-inch OLED display. The picture quality is notably richer when you hold both phones side by side, but the P20 is still plenty usable. The P20 also has shorter battery life and only 2 cameras on the back instead of the P20 Pro's 3 sensors. It's splash-proof, while the P20 Pro is fully water-resistant for up to 3 feet in 30 minutes. I have included these product link in the description. You can check out this link for more information and latest price. Thank you for watching this video. Please hit the like button, share with your friends, And be sure to subscribe.